Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiv Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtavrayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, text 136 onwards. So there's discussion going on between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was teaching him Vedanta Sutra with Shankaracharya's commentary, Sharirak Bhashya. And Mahaprabhu said, Vedanta Sutras are very clear, but your commentary, your interpretation has covered the real meaning. Jivera asti vishtu dui shankha gomayam, Shruti vakya sei dui mahapavitrahaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, conch shells and cow dung are nothing but the bones and the stool of some living entities. But according to the Vedic version, they are both considered very pure. According to Vedic principles, bones and dung are generally considered very impure. If one touches a bone or stool, he must take a bath immediately. That is a Vedic injunction. If one touches a bone or stool, he must take a bath immediately. So how to tell this to non-vegetarians? When they like to eat so much of meat, and the injunction says, well, if they had followed the injunction, they would not be non-vegetarians anyway. But this is the injunction. That is a Vedic injunction. Yet the Vedas also enjoin that a conch shell, although the bone of an animal, and cow dung, although the stool of an animal, are very much sanctified. So conch shell, shank, that we use in the temples to do abhishek of the Lord, to blow the conch shell to make this auspicious sound before the arti. And cow dung, in fact, is used to bathe the Lord with. So very much sanctified. Even though such statements appear contradictory on the basis of the Vedic version, we still accept the fact that conch shells and cow dung are pure and sanctified. Swata pramana veda satya yaikaya lakshana karile swata pramanaya hanihaya. The Vedic statements are self-evident. Whatever is stated, they must be accepted. If we interpret according to our imagination, the authority of Vedas is immediately lost. So we interpret, and that's where we make mistakes. Out of four main types of evidence, direct perception, hypothesis, historical reference, and the Vedas, Vedic evidence is accepted as the foremost. If we want to interpret the Vedic version, we must imagine an interpretation according to what we want to do. First of all, we set forth such an interpretation as a suggestion or hypothesis. As such, it is not actually true, and the self-evident proof is lost. So Srila Madhvacharya, commenting on the aphorism Drishyate Tu, it's also Vedanta Sutra, quotes the Bhavishya Purana as follows. The Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Tharveda, Mahabharata, Pancharatra, and Orishal Ramayana are all considered Vedic literature. The Puranas that are specially meant for Vaishnavas, such as Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Nardiya Puran, Vishnu Puran, and Bhagavad Puran, or Srimad Bhagavatam, are also Vedic literature. Therefore, whatever is stated in such Puranas or in the Mahabharata and Ramayana is self-evident. There is no need for interpretation. Bhagavad Gita is also within the Mahabharata. Therefore, all the statements of the Bhagavad Gita are self-evident. There is no need for interpretation. And if we do interpret, the entire authority of the Vedic literature is lost. Vyasa Sutrera Artha Yaicha Surera Kiran Swakalpita Bhasha Meghe Kareya Chadan. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, the Brahma Sutra compiled by Srila Vyasadeva is as radiant as the sun. One who tries to interpret its meaning simply covers that sunshine with a cloud. Veda Purana kahe Brahma Nirupan, Sai Brahma Brihad Vastu Ishvara Lakshan. All the Vedas and literature that strictly follows the Vedic principles explain that the Supreme Brahman is the absolute truth, the greatest of all, and a feature of the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Brahman is the absolute truth. The greatest of everything is Shri Krishna. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Vedesha Sarvairahame Vedya. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the absolute truth is understood in three phases, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdyate. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the last word in understanding the absolute truth, or Brahman. So last word means that that's the final, that's the ultimate. Sarva Aishwarya Paripurna Swayama Bhagavan Tare Nirakara Kari Kara Vyakya. Actually, the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences. You're trying to explain him as impersonal and formless. So that's what Mayavadis say. So Mayavadis say Brahm Jyoti is the Supreme. But Brahm Jyoti has no form. And but that's not the Supreme. Brahm means Brihatva, the greatest of all. The greatest of all is Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He possesses all potencies and opulence in full. Therefore, the absolute truth, the greatest of all, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the word Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is used by Prabhupada only. Before Prabhupada, even Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj did not use this term. So Supreme Personality means he's a person, not. It's so common and it's such a fashion actually to use Nirakar, Nirvikar, and this, that for the Lord. And so many speakers you can hear on YouTube or everywhere, and they're just giving this half-cooked knowledge. It doesn't make sense at all. And people just follow it. People just believe it. Yes, yes, yes. No. Whether one says Brahman or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fact is the same, for they are identical. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjun accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, Param Dham. So Mayavadis talk about Brahma, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Arjun said, Krishna, you are Param Brahma, the Supreme, nothing beyond you. Although the living entities of material nature are sometimes described as Brahman, Brahman, the Supreme, the greatest of all Brahmans, is still Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is full with all opulences, and as such he possesses all riches, all strength, all reputation, all knowledge, all beauty, and all renunciation. He is eternally a person and eternally supreme. Eternally means no beginning, no end. So he was always the supreme, he is the supreme, and he will always be the supreme. If one tries to explain the Supreme impersonally, one distorts the real meaning of Brahman. Nirvishesha tare kahe yei shruti gana prakrita nishedi kare aprakrita stapan. Wherever there is an impersonal description in the Vedas mean to establish that everything belonging to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental and free of mundane characteristics. So, when they say nirvishesh, nirgun, nirakar, so nirgun doesn't mean he has no qualities, means he has no material qualities. Nirakar doesn't mean he has no akar. It means he has spiritual form, not material form. His form is made of Sat, Chit, and Ananda, not like us. There are many impersonal statements about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in Shvetashvatar Upanishad. Apani pado javano grahita pashyati achakshu shashanoti karana saveti vidyam nacha tasyasti veta tam ahur agrayam purusham mahanta. Although the Supreme Lord is described as having no hands and legs, he nonetheless accepts all sacrificial offerings. He has no eyes, yet he sees everything. He has no ears, yet he hears everything. When it is stated that the Supreme Lord has no hands and legs, one should not think that he is impersonal. Rather, he has no mundane hands or legs like ours. And when it says he has no eyes, yet he sees, means he has he does not have mundane, limited eyes like ours. Rather, he has such eyes that he can see past, present, and future everywhere, in every corner of the universe, and in every corner of the heart of every living entity. So, these contradictory statements are there in the scriptures. So, the point is, we understand them properly through a bona fide acharya. And then we really appreciate the qualities, the greatness of the Supreme Lord. And actually, these statements glorify the Supreme Lord beyond any limits. See, it does say he has no eyes, yet he sees. So how can it be Brahmajyoti? How can we say Brahmajyoti sees? A person sees, a light does not see. But they interpret, they come up with their own words and the meanings and mumbo and jumbles and just confuse everybody. Thus, the impersonal descriptions in the Vedas intend to deny mundane characteristics in the Supreme Lord. They do not intend to establish the Supreme Lord as impersonal. But this is what the Mayavadi philosophers, that's what they do. They say everything is impersonal. The Supreme is impersonal. Ya shrutir jalpati nirvishesham sa sabhidhatte saviseshamev vichar yoge satihanta tasam prayo baliya savishesham eva. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. Whatever Vedic mantras describe the absolute truth impersonally only prove in the end that the absolute truth is a person. The Supreme Lord is understood in two features, impersonal and personal. If one considers the Supreme Personality of Godhead in both features, one can actually understand the absolute truth. Because he is absolute, means everything is in him. All apparent contradictions are in him. So one who understands his impersonal and personal feature, then he understands it properly. He knows that the personal understanding is stronger because we see that everything is full of variety. No one can see anything that is not full of variety. So this is a quotation from Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya Natak by Kavi Karna. Brahma haite janme vishva, brahmete jivaya, sei brahme punarapi haya yalaya. Everything in the cosmic manifestation emanates from the absolute truth, remains in the absolute truth, and after annihilation again enters the absolute truth. So in the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said, Yato Vaimani Bhutani Jayante. The entire material cosmic manifestation is born of the Supreme Brahman. Also, the Brahma Sutra begins with the words Janmadhyasya Yata. The absolute truth is that from whom everything emanates. That absolute truth is Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Means, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. That's a pretty big statement. Everything emanates from me. Everything comes from me. I'm the source of everything. The source means he is the supreme God. Therefore, Krishna is the original absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. Again, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya tadam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murti. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. And as confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Golok eva nivasati akhilatma bhuta. Although the Lord always stays in his abode, Golok Vrindavan, he is still all-pervading. His all-pervasive feature is understood to be impersonal because one does not find the form of the Lord in that all-pervasiveness. Actually, everything is resting on the rays of his bodily effulgence. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti. Due to the rays of the Lord's bodily effulgence, the Lord's bodily effulgence, which is Brahm Jyoti, millions of universes are created, just as planets are created from the sun. But the Brahm Jyoti rests on the Supreme Lord. It does not have its own resting place or its own existence without Krishna. The Mayavadis, they cannot go beyond this Brahm Jyoti. So it's very technical, but we have to study. Apadana karan adhikaran karak tina bhagwanera savishesha eitin china. The personal features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are categorized in three cases, namely ablative, instrumental, and locative. So technical again, very technical. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states in his Amrit Prabha Bhashya that according to the injunctions of the Upanishads, the Supreme Absolute Truth is He from whom everything emanates. It is understood that the whole cosmic manifestation emanated from Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth. The creation, see the word terms Brahman, Par-Brahman, they're used interchangeably. For Krishna, and Brahman is sometimes used for Brahman Jyoti, so we just have to understand what is it being used for. The creation subsists by the energy of the Supreme Brahman, and after annihilation merges into the Supreme Brahman. From this, we can understand that the absolute truth can be categorized in three cases. Okay. When it says a creation subsists by the energy of the absolute energy of the Supreme Brahman. Okay, subsists by means it is maintained by the energy of the Supreme Brahman. And after annihilation, merges into the Supreme Brahman. And after annihilation, we studied how everything merges into Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is now an expansion of expansion of expansion of Krishna. So it doesn't merge into Brahm Jyoti, into nothingness, no. So according to these three cases, the absolute truth is positively personified. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati quotes the Aitareya Upanishad So much of knowledge they have of all the scriptures. Similarly, in Shveta Shruta Upanishad, it is Chandansi Yagya Kritavo Vritani. So more quotations are given. So this was, as in Taittiriya Upanishad, it is, this was the answer given by Father Varuna when questioned by his son Varuni, Bhrigu, about the absolute truth. In this mantra, the word Yataha, the absolute truth from which the cosmic manifestation has emanated, is in the ablative case. So I'm just going to skip all this technical knowledge because it's difficult to understand. Bhagavatam says the entire universal creation is contained in the gigantic form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything emanates from him, everything rests in his energy, and after annihilation, everything merges into his person. So that's all we need to understand. भगवान बहु हैते जबे कैला मन प्राकृत शक्ति ते तबे कैला विलोकन से काले नाही जन्मे प्राकृत मनोनयन अतएव अप्रकृत ब्रह्मेर नेत्रमन. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead wished to become many, he glanced over the material energy. Before the creation, there were no mundane eyes or mind. Therefore, the transcendental nature of the Absolute Truth's mind and eyes is confirmed. So, glanced over. So, glanced over means he had the eyes. And when he wished means he thought, means he had the mind. In Chandogya Upanishad, it is said, Tad akshat bahusyam prajaye. This statement confirms the fact that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead wishes to become many, the cosmic manifestation arises simply by his glancing over material energy. It may be noted that the Supreme Lord glanced over the material nature before the creation of this cosmic manifestation. So before the creation, there were no material minds or material eyes. Therefore, the mind by which the Supreme Personality of Godhead desired to create is transcendent. So, by going by this logic also, he has transcendental mind, transcendental eyes. His body is also transcendental. And the eyes with which he glanced over material nature are also transcendental. Thus, the Lord's mind, eyes, and other senses are all transcendental, nothing mundane. ब्रह्म शब्द कहे पूर्ण स्वयं भगवान कृष्ण शास्त्रेर प्रमाण. The word Brahman indicates the complete Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Sri Krishna. That is the verdict of all Vedic literature. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, Vedeshya sarve rahame vedya. The ultimate object in all Vedic literature is Krishna. Everyone is searching for him. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanamante jnanvan mam prapadyate. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So in Bhagavatam it is said, understanding Vasudeva is real knowledge. By engaging in the devotion service of Vasudeva Krishna, one acquires perfect knowledge and Vedic understanding. Thus one becomes detached from the material world. This is the perfection of human life. So again, long purport is given. So in the end, Prabhupada said, therefore, when reading Vedic literature, we must take the path traversed by the great acharyas. Unless one follows the path traversed by great acharyas, he cannot understand the real purport of the Vedas. So all the Vaishnava acharyas, they have confirmed this. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Yes, okay. Ramanujacharya says it's Narayan, but Narayan is also extension of Krishna. So, so to attain Krishna or to attain the service of Krishna, that is the supreme goal of anybody's life. So this is the sum total of the Vedas. I know it's very, very technical, so we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare